Hello, everybody. Welcome to this live stream. If you are new here, my name is Carrie. I'm a medium and a mentor, and this is my weekly live stream, which happens every Friday, rain or shine, unless otherwise planned, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And during this live, I do a variety of different readings, which I love being able to share with all of you. So I'll just kind of put it up on the screen. Now, I would love for you, if you're new especially, or even if you're joining and you're one of my regular subscribers, please say hello in the chat. I love interacting. I'd love for you to get to know me and what I do here on the channel, and also for you to feel comfortable in the community. We are just really starting to get our community going and gathering a really lovely group of people who are supportive and encouraging and understanding of the many challenges that go on for all of us when it comes to our spiritual path, our spiritual growth, especially in the busy world we live in. And so on this channel, we talk about a lot of things to do with your spiritual growth, spiritual development, your healing journey, developing your intuition, working with your spirit guides, and so on. So I like to get right into the readings. And I want to let you know that actually normally this live stream is about 90 minutes in length. But today it's only going to be a 60-minute live stream, and that is because at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm doing a co-live with a dear friend of mine, one of my besties, who's also a medium and a mentor, and we are actually going to be talking about channeling, all the different ways that you can channel and connect with spirit, bring through guidance and wisdom and healing and information. So be sure to come back for that. So what I'm going to do, just a little bit of like what we normally have happen here. And I can see I have to put my chair up a bit. real things, right? So, and I apologize. My microphone actually is, I had to charge my computer, so I don't have access to my microphone, and because we have all the things, right? So hopefully you can hear me okay. So usually every Friday I do a few things on the live as far as what kind of readings I do. I always bring a channeled message through. Now, when I say the goddesses, understand, I want to kind of break that down for some of you who may be new to hearing about goddesses, or what is that about? And also on my channel, it says Goddess Oracle. You might be thinking, what does that mean? So essentially, hi, Heber, good to see you. Yay. Some of my peeps are coming in, very excited. Hello, hello. So on the goddesses, to me specifically, there's a variety of goddesses that are open and available to us. They're really available to all of us, and they act as spirit guides to many of us. And some of us are going to be drawn to certain specific guides, and some of us goddesses, and some of us are going to be drawn to others. And my role as a medium has been, after spending a lot of time really learning to hone in on my abilities and to open up myself as a channel. One of the roles I play is to be that intermediary between my clients and my students and these goddesses, so they can form their own relationship. And so sometimes we have a variety of goddesses that come through. It can be, sometimes we have Hecate come through. She's very regular here. We have Freya coming through, Isis, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Lilith. So all of these goddesses are really, what I like to say, are open. So they're not from a closed practice. That is something that I don't do and I don't promote, because I think that working with these goddesses actually for me is something I take pretty seriously. And that means that if I'm beginning to work with their energy, I really go in and I study the history of their origins, how people venerated them in the past, in their cultures, and their cultural relevance to where they originated from. And so I do talk about those things on the channel. So there's more about that. So I did want to recognize that. So today what we're going to be starting with is a channeled message. And I never know who's going to come through. Could be different every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap in and to see who's coming through. Sometimes I like to say I back it up with cards, which means I grab decks that they want me to work with to help really express or underscore something that they want to emphasize or to open up to. And so it's different every week. And if you have any questions about any of the readings I offer, all of those links are going to be in my profile. So certainly if you want to book a private reading, that's all the information you need. Okay, so I have to say I'm being very drawn to my Rebecca Campbell Starseed Oracle. So I'm going to reach for that just first of all to get started. And then I was also really connecting earlier with this other deck I have that is a lot to do, which is very connected to nature. So let me just tune in and see what we have here. Okay, let me just tap in and see who's here. All right, so right away, I'm getting this energy of Hera. Hera is a Hellenic goddess, and she is really known for a variety of things, one of them being that she is nurturing. So let me go ahead and I'm going to just do a little bit of, I think I have her in this deck too. So let me just tap in. This deck has been, it's really rooted in good research. I do like to emphasize that, which is the Joanna Poole deck. So let me go ahead and just pull her card out here, and then I'm going to bring her message through. So Hera. She's coming through in this sense of being no nonsense. And this has been happening consistently with all the goddesses over the last several weeks, as they're really coming through very strongly and with a lot of emphasis on specific qualities that they want each of us to be working on. You know, from her, I'm actually hearing something about you all working on your ancestry. So actually, I'm trying to remember if she's in this deck. I know she's in my other deck, and I don't want to get too distracted. I'll pull this through. Let me get her message, and I have her in my other deck. So give me a second. So the first thing she's really making me recognize is something about your ancestry and respecting your ancestry. And she's making me aware that some of you have been pushing away your own lineage and your heritage. And this comes back to the fact that if you have anger or trauma from your childhood, or you feel in some way distanced or separated from your family currently, what you're doing actually is pushing away all your ancestors around you by doing that. So it's almost like you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater is how she's showing me. So, and a lot of this she's telling me is stemming in the third chakra, so your power center. And so the image that she is reflecting to me is that because you want to separate from your family trauma and from the things that occurred to you and from some of the habits and the ways of life that your parents had or even your relatives, the problem is you're pushing out all the ancestors who are circling you on the periphery. So one thing that this is what I've worked with these goddesses, what they've shown over time is that, you know, and they really work closely with ancestors. I have to say that's really been coming through very strongly, because what they're trying to do is they're really interested in your soul and your soul's growth and your development being on earth. That's why goddesses are great, because they're an intermediary between these like interdimensional beings or even angels and us. So they're right in the center. And so that's why they come forth almost with qualities that seem human or are overarching in these ways. So they're coming forward really and projecting this. And she's bringing me forth, and she's like trying to protect you from yourself. She's saying all your hard work of growing and understanding who you are it's going to close down if you don't really start connecting with really seeing the pain as the pain and your ancestors as your ancestors. So she's really saying it's different. Now I'm going to be doing, actually, I'll list it on my page if you're a subscriber, with my girl Keisha K, who's also a spiritual mentor, And we're going to be specifically talking about working with ancestors and channeling ancestors and connecting with them and opening up our mediumship abilities to be able to encompass our ancestors. And one of the things she always says, Keisha does, she says, you want to call forth your benevolent, uplifted, and enlightened ancestors. And that's just setting the tone that you want to be able to connect with, you know, the highest versions of your ancestors and not the parts that have the patterns. Okay. So let's just tap in. I'm going to see if there's anything else from Hera. I'm actually going to grab my other, because I know she's in this Oracle deck. So forgive me for a second. I'm just going to switch. But she's showing me this image actually. And it's funny because I have a membership called Goddess Rising. And I just recorded a meditation to meet your ancestors in that. But it's all based around shadow work and healing. So there's a combination of a lot of things. If you're interested in that information's in the link in my profile. Let me just find Hera in here. And as I'm looking, I will find the information. I'll tap in. So the biggest energy that I'm getting here is to don't make your pain separate you from the things that can help you. And I also feel like this is a way that you also push out guidance and information. Someone is in the, I'm just going to check the chat. I can affirm this for myself. My deities have all stepped back to let my ancestors take front and center. Isn't that amazing? And I think we forget about that. You know, I think we are so concentrated, many of us, not everybody, we're so concentrated on this idea that we want to connect with our guides or even bigger, there's Hera, okay, bigger deities or beings, you know, we really want that shock and awe sort of a thing, or the bigger energy or the more well-known. But actually our ancestors are the ones who are really front and center on a primal level, like on a fundamental level. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring forth the message that's in this guidebook and see if this brings us some affirmation and information. Okay, so let's take care of that. Pardon me while I keep myself organized here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. I love having conversations with everybody. Okay, so let's bring Hera forth. I think this is alphabetical. Okay, right next to Hecate. Okay, let's read this. So, right, because she was one of the wives of Zeus. So let me take a sip of water. And you know what's interesting? Her card actually says alliance on it. So that means bridging an alliance. I love these surprises. So I'm going to do this for you. So I hope you find this interesting. I do. I know most of my clients and students do. The Greek goddess Hera, wife of Zeus, knew intimately that positive alliances lead to power. Seeing that you want to align yourself with your ancestors, right? At this moment, you're magnetized to receive aid from people who have greater wisdom and can help you to the next level. Perhaps it's a mentor who appears or someone in the know. Making connections with others and finding strategic partnerships are favored right now as you explore the nature of becoming empowered by association. This works well if you have a healthy sense of self-worth and if you're able to learn without diminishing yourself in any way. Right now, Hera is supporting you to form beneficial alliances for the greater good of all. When called to action or faced with a decision, ask, how does this benefit me? And how can I serve the highest good as a result of the connection? You may also be called to give help to another who needs your mentorship. Give freely, for only good will come of it. This is a wonderful time for a manner of connection and collaboration, right? There's a lot more here, which I could easily dive into, but suffice to say, I think she understood her position. And so, you know, in Olympus and so every week after we connect with them, we put their photo here and we honor them for the week, by the way, it's between sessions. So she knew how to form alliances. She understood that the importance of connection, right? Because, you know, Zeus had multiple wives. So there's that. And how does she help us? And she can help us essentially have a lot of acumen. She can help us be savvy. She can help us to be understanding, navigating situations that are difficult, right? And so this is what our ancestors do. They have already lived on this planet. They know how challenging it is, how difficult. They know how hard it is, how challenging it is to navigate relationships, navigate jobs, navigate change, navigate transitions. So this is all really what I'm getting from this, is that there's this need to connect and not forget. That's really what I'm hearing her say. So interesting. Okay, friends. So let's see what's next. So that is, and we thank Hera for her message. And I love that she came through for us on that, in that sense. Okay, now we're going to tap into the Akashic Records. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So let me just explain, because people come in new and they, I like to explain to the Akashic Records every time I go live, because I want people to understand what it is and be familiar with it. I teach the Akashic Records. I teach people how to tap into their own records, how to do healing, how to do manifestation, how to curate the lives that they want to manifest. And so today, what we're going to be bringing through, I'm going to be channeling a couple of messages from the Akashic Records. Now, certainly these are channeled for a collective, but here's the way I look at collective messages. This is what Spirit has said to me. Collective and spirit messages are much like poetry, or if you've ever gone to a place and felt inspired. And it's meant to be something that can help not just one person, but many people. And so that's why it streams through you, especially if you are connecting with an oracle or a guide or a medium who is, doing the work. Their space is clear. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to bring through this energy, and we're going to see, what do we need to hear? What do we need to know right now for this collective? And feel free in the comments if you have any questions or you'd like to know a little bit more about this. Feel free. Let's see what we get. I'm going to do like 3 messages. I think that's what I'm hearing. All right, let's see what we got. I'm hearing take your time, that the best is yet to come. And then also I am seeing an image of the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. And if you know that energy, that's earth energy. That means we're moving slowly, but it's not because we're not getting anywhere. It's that you're being more mindful of what is coming next. So there's a favorable outcome that will happen if you take your time and you plod your way along, that you're being more restful and reflective, and you're not having to be in action so much. And that really comes through from this card, which is the Buddha card. So it's this sense of literal Zen. And, I am certainly not a student of Buddhism. I know very little, but I do know that they have a sense of detachment. That's a part of their dharma, and that they definitely like to not get into things where they get so focused on an outcome. And so if you're thinking about your manifestations or what you want to bring into your life, and you feel as though you want it to happen faster, that you don't think it's going to happen, what's happening in there, showing me in that space, is you're filling the space with worry. You're filling the space with confusion. You're filling the space with antsiness. And all of that energy slows things down on an energy level. That's what they're showing me, that you're not speeding up to get to where you want to go. In fact, you're blocking yourself and you're creating an obstacle. And because of that obstacle, your process of when you arrive there is not going to be as sweet, and that it's going to be much more difficult. So that's really what I'm getting. They're also showing me the Akashic Records card. Very hard to see here. I apologize for this camera. The Akashic Records library essentially is really the library of your soul. It's like Google for your soul. So it's every lifetime you've ever lived. That's what I was going to say. I didn't explain it, did I? So it has every lifetime you've ever lived and everything in between. And when you tap into it, you're able to create change and improvement and healing. You take away the karmic charge and the energy that has kept things stuck and sticky and blocked. And I was in someone's Akashic Records and I did a reading earlier today. And one of the things that we cleared out in it was an agreement she had that really was almost like molasses in her energy. And so it keeps her stuck. So there is this sense of the wisdom you're going to get will be curated a little bit more efficiently if you let go more and allow the changes to unfold over time. And then the next card is number 3, setting your course. I'm hearing that the Love Boat song, setting your course for a great adventure. So for me, this has a lot to do with, again, patience, clearing out expectation, releasing like the dog pile you've pressured yourself under, and giving yourself more of a sense of expansion of what is it that you want and what is that going to look like? How, what does it feel like to be there? And enjoying the journey more. If you look at, especially if you're looking at the Buddha under the tree of knowledge, and also we can see that he has his, spyglass looking out ahead. No one's worried about if they're going to get there quickly. They're all knowing they're headed in the right direction. What we clear out in between when it happens and now is what we need to work on. That's the biggest message that I've been getting that message for a while. Let's pull one more card for this. So if this resonates for you, let me know. Okay, we have this is the Magician, the Architect. These are all solid cards, which are really showing us that we have the building blocks to manifest the life we want. So there is a lot of that, affirming you as a creator, looking at things that are solidly in your energy field, that feel stable, that you've done well, and that you're instrumental because of all the work you've already done. Things are completely changing for you. That's really what I'm getting. All right. So that is the first reading. How are we doing in here? Everybody good? All right. Let's get on to the second one. And again, all these later will be time-stamped. So if all of you are watching this now, these will all be time-stamped later. I always do that for even the live stream readings. All right. Let's do one more. See what we got. 2 more, actually. We'll see what other message wants to come through. I'm hearing dovetail, and I'm literally seeing, this is also like a metaphor. So I'm seeing a dove, and then I'm hearing dovetail, and that means it's like a double entendre. So it's 2 things. Okay, we're going to figure this out. They're funny. So we're getting the King of Keys, and we're getting Hilarion, okay, who is also an Ascended Master. In this deck, they have a lot of Ascended Masters. Let me pull another one. Let the story unfold for number 2, second pile. Archangel Raphael, but I'm noticing he's in the reverse. Now, Archangel Raphael is actually one of the archangels that I work with and we do our training with for healing in the Akashic Records. He's available to all of us. And specifically in the Akashic Records, he helps clear energy. And here's what I'm getting. I have the Hilarion, which I think is knowledge and wisdom that you are wanting to learn and wanting to tap into and wanting to experience. But you're also having that masculine, determined energy, planning. Again, this goes back to the first reading of trying to navigate and manage things. And then we have Raphael's energy, which is in reverse. So I'm going to start with the end of this reading, and that is that we're starting with Raphael. We're not giving ourselves access to that healing energy, that healing light. Now, one of the reasons, it's again like the manifesting energy, one of the reasons why we can't access the energy is because we are so busy in our minds and we're disconnected from it. So that means we're planning, we're budgeting, we're organizing, does that sound familiar? We're pushing, we're trying to get stuff done. And all of that doesn't give a lot of room for spirit to step in and bring things to you, and also for you to align to things. So it's like, this is the energy I get of this card is, which is hard to see, I apologize in this light and this lens, is a man standing and he's reading this book and he has all these spirits around him trying to help him, trying to give him advice, trying to help him channel, trying to help him come to terms with things, trying to help him sort things out, manifest. But because he's so in his head and he's planning, there's no room for the penetration of the spirits to come in. So it's just, to me, a lot of nonsense going on. That's what they're saying. Don't hurt the messenger. But that's really what they're giving me. The guides keep saying, you guys are making it so hard. You're not trusting us. There's a lot to do with trust and a lot to do with just really saying, I need help, to the guides and the ancestors. All right. All right, friends. We're going to do one more of the Akashic, and then we're going to do an ancestor message. This has been so fun. I know this is a shorter one today, but again, like, I'm going live again at 5 Pacific Standard Time, which is in about an hour and a half. So, and the reason being is because my friend Miranda Carr and I, who's also a medium and a mentor, we are going to be doing a chat about channeling. Okay. Up in the Air came out in reverse. I got that the other day. One of Keys, the Architect. They're telling me to pull 4. And then Uriel and the Sphinx. Oh, okay. Let me do this so I can see. 5 of Scrolls, Diversity, 21. Uriel, that's standing out to me. So the ancient wisdom that your soul has access to, which comes from your Akashic Records, your higher self, also known as the 5th dimension. Let's break that down a little bit. So as you learn to open your energy up and then connect and trust and open up to spirit, and then just ask to get information and access to your soul's light and wisdom. It's kind of simple when you do it in that sort of something similar to that. There is here, what you have access to is ancient wisdom of your soul. It's not just wisdom that you have in this moment. It's wisdom that goes back through till the beginning of man-made time. And so when you touch base with it, when you open the window, when you open the door, you have access to that energy. But again, we go back to the beginning because a lot of us are in our heads and we're trying to plan things. It's so closely linked to what feels right. This is the deceptive part about it, because a lot of us feel like, well, I'm getting so many ideas and I'm channeling and I have information and all this stuff's happening, but yet they're still spinning their wheels. And here's the problem. You can have those faculties turning on when you're on your path. And unless you really say, what do I need to do right now? What's the best course of action? You're still disconnected from your intuition. Does that make sense? This is something I've had to learn the hard way. Because just because you can and you get the information doesn't mean that's the right thing for you. It doesn't mean it's actually the message you're supposed to get. It doesn't mean the action you're supposed to take. It doesn't mean a lot of things. So there's something really important here about taking time and taking time back taking time back. And again, reconnecting. This is like the same message, just in another form. Leaving things, allow things not, I'm getting this card is up in the air. Okay. And up in the air means you don't know what's going to happen. You don't have all the answers. You haven't curated the entire plan. And that's the beauty of it. But the challenging part, because it's the gap you're trying to fill of like the not of wanting what you have and connecting with spirit. And then in the in-between, you're like, but I fill it with something, you know, I've got to fill it with something. It's up in the air. So it triggers you, many of you, and makes you feel almost inferior is what I'm hearing. Because it makes you feel like you're comparing yourself to other people, looking at how they do things, trying to make sense of things, and then trying to make things happen faster. Manifesting faster is what I'm getting. That's really what I'm getting. Okay, I'm going to pull an oracle card. I hope this is making sense to those of you who are listening. And if you're just joining us, welcome. It's so good to see everybody. And love being here. Let's see which deck they want me to pull from. I think I'm going to do Lightworker deck. So today, everyone that's joining us, we are doing a little bit of a shorter day. And the reason is because at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the channel, I am going live both here and on TikTok. I think we're going on Instagram too, although I don't think I'm gonna channel from Instagram. Just too many things going on for me to read all those screens. I'm like, what's going on? So right now we are doing the third part. We're finishing up our Akashic Records readings, everybody. And then I'm going to get a tap in from the ancestors. That's what we're going to do. So if you're joining us later, thank you for being here. And there'll be timestamps throughout with all these readings. Okay, so let's see. What's the final message here? All right, let's see what we got. I'm going to bring out a few. Mintaken, one of the planets where some souls originate from. Sisterhood of the Rose, Soul Family, Age of Light. Woo! Okay, so I definitely am calling in my people in this one. So if you resonate with this message, I do believe it, and you're a subscriber, that this is definitely soul family energy, just to validate you. And you'll know more why later. This is kind of connected in with the Akashic Records work I'm doing, because I'm adding in to the readings I do origins of where people, just after the divine, created all of us, where their origins are, where people's origins are. Did they first come to Earth? Did they start off on another planet and then come here? And Minataka's on one of those, Mintaken. Okay, so this says longing for home, manifesting faster. I feel that so much. I know, totally. Hi, Amber. That's okay, Amber. Don't worry, because right now we have, just going to show you. Right now, I'm going to be going live at 5 p.m., as you know, with my dear friend Lorinda Carr, who's also a medium. So that's perfect, because I'm only going to be on here for about 40 minutes today. And I'm going to come back at 5. Kind of speaking of, as Hebert was saying, watch pacing yourself, manifesting faster. Okay, so, right, soul family, longing for home, the original light workers. But then we have near and dear to me, Sisters of the Rose, and beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, and teacher. And then we have soul family, find your tribe. And then the last one we have is the age of light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Hello. So if you were looking for validation of who you are as a soul, and you do sometimes feel like your soul, you're the one in all the people that's probably much more interested in these types of conversations, know that you're not alone, and know that there are people waking up all over this planet, and that you are in the right place. In this little corner of the internet, you're safe here. And so I want to acknowledge that. And I'm also hearing, I want to acknowledge your ancestry. Your ancestry is your ancestors who you've descended from, but it's also your soul's ancestry. And I want you to know that you can connect with the different parts of even yourself that might have incarnated, if you want to look at it on a timeline, many, many, many lifetimes ago. So there's definitely this validation here. It's a beautiful reading. Validation, insight, meaning, and that. All right. So next, we've got a really small group. So I'm just going to tap in and see if I can get a message from the ancestors. Okay, guys? And then we will call it a day unless anyone has any questions. Okay, let me just see what I'm getting. I'll be right with you in a second. So I have a man coming through who looks very, his shoulders are broad. He looks like he's probably from the turn of the century, maybe 1910. So he may be someone's ancestor who's here, who's in the chat now, or someone else's. So I'm just going to give you his message. He definitely feels like he's an immigrant. That's what I'm getting. I want to say I feel like he's originally from Italy. That's what I'm getting. And he feels like he's the first generation to come to the United States. That's what I'm hearing. Height wise, he's about 5'11". Again, this could be for someone who sees this later. So it's going to be specific, I will tell you. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. So if this is your person, you can consider this validation, but also to let you know that this message is timeless for anyone. That's how these work. Okay, let's see what we're getting. Okay, so he is saying, this is the message again about hard work. He's saying hard work pays off. He says, we have to make things like we have to pay for food. We have to pay for rent. He's got an older suit on too. And he's got this hat in his hand. He's sort of moving around the rim of the hat. It's like he's going almost asking for a bank loan for the first time, or looking at a job or something. And I think he's having a hard time speaking English, feels like it's not his native tongue is what I'm hearing. So the thing I want to mention is that he's saying he knows how stressful things can be related to money and survival. And he's saying, you work extra hard to get by. He said, but he's really recognizing now is more the age of enlightenment. You don't have to do the same things you did before in order to grasp, the things you want. He said, grasping for things sends you out of alignment. And grasping for things makes you feel smaller because you don't feel powerful. And he's saying, the thing you want to know is that you're a powerful being and that you are a manifester. And I'm getting this like ageless wisdom, he's saying. And he's recognizing that a lot of people feel fearful right now about finances and fearful about what the future brings. And he's saying, take your power back. It's really what he's saying. Give yourself a break. He said, some of what has been passed down to my own lineage was a fear of making a mistake, a fear of losing everything, and a fear of things being taken away is how he's mentioning it. So if you can claim that, let me know. And I want to say I'm getting a name for him. Spirit said, go to Carrie's live. Good. I'm glad you're here. I do get a name with him. His name looks like it's like Ernesto or something like that. That's a name for him. If you can claim that as an ancestor. And I am feeling like he is definitely this is definitely Southern Europe. Let me see if there's anything else about him. He is really recognizing he had to take care of his whole family. And so that was a lot of pressure. That's how he's showing it to me. And he also had to send money back to Italy or Southern Europe. Said it put a lot of strain on him, and he feels as though that kind of got passed down. Hello, Regina. It caused a bad taste in his mouth, is what he's saying. And the last thing I want to say is he is saying now, like he very much felt he couldn't get up to mischief. He had to take everything so seriously, and his life really became about work, which was really difficult. He said, but don't let anger anchor into your energy, into who you are, into your energy. He said it's worthwhile to take a step back. That's really what he's mentioning. Yeah, that's him. Anyway, that's the ancestor. Woo, how's everybody doing? I'm just going to say hello to everybody in the chat. You guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. And if you're watching this later, please let me know in the comments. Again, this is going to be uploaded and it'll have timestamps so you can watch the readings later. If you're interested, we'd love for you to join us as a subscriber. There's going to be, once I hit 1,000 followers, I'm going to be doing subscriber only lives. and some other really wonderful things, options for extended readings, things of that nature. So I'm very excited. All right, everybody, I'm going to shove off so I can get ready for my next live and take a little rest from readings today. I hope you all enjoyed this. It was wonderful to see you. Thank you again so much. All right, so I'll see some of you back here in about an hour and 20 minutes. Sound good? All right, so much love to everybody, and thank you so much for being here. And again, I will see you next Friday, unless you're coming later, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Take good care, everybody.